All right. Hello and good morning, everyone, and welcome to the stream. It is the last Monday of the month. It is the start to Children's Week in WoW, apparently. I am very, very hyped for payday, which is just a few days away now, so very excited for that. I'm also, this last week has been the most exciting week in gaming for me for a while. We just got notification we're getting Pacopia. We just got notification we're getting Styx. We just got notification we got into the Monster Hunter Outlanders beta trial, so I get to play that game and provide feedback for that one. I also got into the beta for Petite Planet, which is Hoyoverse. It's their what do you call it? Their like Animal Crossing game, and I've been playing that one a little bit, and it's very exciting. So we've been getting a lot of great gaming news as of late. So I'm so excited to dig into Monster Hunter Outlanders later today. I can't talk too much about it. There is an NDA on it, but I am very, very excited for Monster Hunter on the go. So it's been a good couple days in gaming. So I'm very excited for that. Very excited to put some more money away for Italy. Very excited to see what we can do for that. The only thing I'm not excited for this week, as we talked about, is on Thursday I'm getting my wisdom teeth pulled. So that is going to be a bad time. Again, we probably won't be streaming on Friday. Chances are I will not feel up to it. If I do feel up to it, I of course will stream and see you all. But chances are I'm going to need a little bit more time to recover. So no stream on Friday, probably no stream on Monday as well. I would guess when Emmy got hers pulled, it was day 3 and 4 were the hardest, so it took a little bit longer to get fully recovered. So I would guess I'm probably going to take those 2 days off. So I'm sorry, no stream there. But we'll be back at it the week after that with some Pacopia. Very excited to see what that game looks like. I've heard nothing but great things, so very excited to play Pacopia. I'm also excited. I saw Yoshi P from Final Fantasy XIV was talking about making a completely solo experience, like being able to play Final Fantasy XIV completely alone, and I'm kind of excited to see what they do for that, especially like if it's not a subscription, if it's truly just like you buy the game once and you can play all of Final Fantasy XIV offline by yourself. Like, I like the MMO aspects of Final Fantasy XIV. I enjoy Final Fantasy XIV. I just can't justify 2 MMO subscriptions at once, you know? Good morning, David Solomon. Yoltz, what game is this? This is World of Warcraft. This is the new Midnight expansion. World of Warcraft, of course, originally came out in 2004, so this game is well over 20 years old, but it's still a lot of fun. It plays very well. It's a very enjoyable game. I highly recommend it. It's actually in the best state it's probably ever been in, especially like if you're a solo player, being able to just jump on and do things and play the game is super good. So if you've never enjoyed World of Warcraft before, now is the time to enjoy World of Warcraft. It's got, like I said, 20 years of content for you. So if you've never enjoyed it before, you'll have so much to do. And at $14.99 a month, it's one of the better deals in gaming, to be honest. $15 a month gets you unlimited playtime is pretty darn good. There's plenty of games that are, of course, give you hundreds of hours for $60, $70, $100, whatever it may be, but it's very hard to top the amount of content that World of Warcraft gives you for the cost that it gives you. I especially enjoy player versus player content, so I get Battlegrounds on top of that. The PvP experience, I won't say it's the best. There's definitely a lot of flaws in the WoW PvP, but I love a good PvP experience. I used to play Silk Road. I used to play Silk Road as well. That was one of my favorite MMOs back in the day. I also just kickstarted Adventure Quest. Adventure Quest is making a standalone Steam interface and mobile interface. So if you ever played Adventure Quest back in the day on like a school computer in the middle of class, you can relive that. I'm very excited to see Adventure Quest is still going, and they're doing their own standalone thing, so I'm very excited for Adventure Quest to come back. The other very excellent computer thing we are getting soon is we just got a what is it? Dice Throne. Dice Throne just started their Kickstarter to bring Dice Throne to PC and be able to play and enjoy that as a single player campaign. Very excited for that. Dice Throne, one of my favorite board games, but it's a 2-player duel, so I always have to have someone else to play with me, and I can't always convince someone else to come play with me. So I'm very excited for a PC version of that game to play through by myself. Yeah, I think most people who were born either in the 80s, 90s, or 2000s has some sort of experience with either playing like cool math games in the back of class or playing like Adventure Quest. Any browser-based game they probably played at least a little bit of. I would say Newgrounds, but I'm fairly certain at least at some point the school districts caught on to Newgrounds was a more adult-oriented experience, and it got put on the filter so you couldn't access it. But for a while there, it was like the Wild West of the internet, right? Nothing was banned. You could do whatever you want. So some of us got to enjoy that before the school filters blocked that. Now you could never get away with it, right? The way that all the school Chromebooks come with trackers built into them, they can literally see every single word you type. There was that story about that kid who got in trouble because he wrote an email joking about going to his school and doing some very bad things, but he deleted the email before he sent it, so he never actually made the threats. He never actually said anything, but because they saw him type it up, they were concerned, so they expelled him for that. That was, of course, a whole scandal. So we're gonna die here because of the worst system in this game, the praise system. I absolutely hate this thing where you have to constantly be killing enemies or you get attacked, and it's awful. They definitely need to update the praise system. There's some flaws here. There's some flaws in the system, I guess is the best way to put it. But yeah, that was unfortunate for that kid that he. But also, like, I do understand to a degree, like, maybe you shouldn't make jokes about going to a school and using a firearm, like, even if it's a joke or even it's just a cathartic experience. Maybe the best way to outlet those emotions isn't to type it into an email, like, maybe this should be a learning experience for the kid and parents as well, that there are certain things that you just don't joke about, that you don't say, even if you're really frustrated. Maybe we should be smarter than that. So I don't fully blame the kid, but also some responsibility lays on the kid for that one. That was partially his fault. But like, there's no way you could log into Adventure Quest on a Chromebook and play it without getting caught by the school nowadays. So that childhood experience is gone. Kind of like, you watch like Stranger Things, and you hear older people talking about, like, when we were kids, we would ride our bikes until the sun set, and you had to be home by the time the streetlights came on, and all those sort of things. Those experiences are just gone, right? There's no more experience of being able to just free roam around for hours on end, and then the streetlights come on and go home. Like, those childhood experiences aren't experiences that kids are going to have anymore. Texted to the principal, no, you should go seek help. If you're having those thoughts, perhaps you need to talk to a therapist or someone of a proper authority who can help you through those feelings. It is not a normal good feeling to feel like, I am frustrated with this, so I want to bring a weapon and harm people. That is not something worth joking about. That is something that people should recognize, that they are a danger and need help. Lots and lots of help. I get that he was trying to joke, but also part of being an adult is learning there are certain things that you just can't joke about. And I feel like though the world has gotten really away from that. Like, there's so many I'm going to say kids, but they're really like 25-year-old adults who get really offended when it's like, oh, I really like dark humor, right? Like, I really like going up to people in public and being like, how many dead babies can you fit in a blender? And then they get offended. And, I can't joke about anything anymore. Like, but maybe there's a time and place for, maybe we as a species don't need to be able to ask questions about dead babies. Maybe if you find that kind of humor funny or entertaining, maybe you should acknowledge that there's probably something wrong with you. And you shouldn't be asking the world to bow down to you and allow you to say stupid and offensive things, right? Maybe you should acknowledge you need to grow as a person past that. It's so weird to see full-on adults crying about the censorship. Like, well, I just really like saying this really offensive and stupid things, and people don't let me. There's consequences for it. Yeah, there are consequences for it. Maybe that should teach you something, that there are consequences for those things. Perhaps you shouldn't do them, right? That's the natural consequences, right? I do XYZ, XYZ happens to me, I don't like that, so now I don't do XYZ. It seems like the way the world has always worked, right? But I don't know, maybe I'm just a grumpy old man, but that I can just do without certain humor in my life or in the world any longer. It's kind of like all the comedians who come out and say, "Oh, you can't make jokes anymore, right? You'll get canceled for it." You ask, "Okay, well, who is telling you can't make jokes anymore?" There is no proof of it, right? It's just this idea of, I'm going to make a joke about I can't make the jokes that I want to joke, because if I come out here and just spew the N-word or say these other hateful things, no one will listen to me. Like, that's not censorship of your jokes. That's just simply a natural consequence for saying stupid and mean things. Like, that's not, no one's preventing you from going out and making the jokes you want to make, but you have to be willing to face the consequences that come from said joke, and they're not willing to face those consequences. Also, since we're ranting about comedians, why is it every single Netflix special is absolutely awful? Like, I can't think of a single comedian Netflix special that I've watched. I'm like, wow, I'm so happy that we got that Netflix special. It always seems to be, wow, that was really bad. Like, is this comedian washed up because that was not a very good special? I don't know, maybe if Netflix just goes for washed up comedians, like, we'll pay you $100 for a special because no one cares about you anymore, and that way we have content. Maybe that's part of the problem, is they're specifically going after no longer people in the, I don't know what the right word is for, in the relevant sphere, but I feel like every Netflix special's kind of been a massive disappointment. Also, Dex, did you see my text this morning? We got notification that Gamefly has sent me Pacopia, so hopefully later this week, next week, we will be playing Pacopia. I'm very, very excited to give it a try here, so more Pokemon to come soon. Dipson, good morning. Welcome back. How are you doing this morning? Or evening? It's evening for you, right? I remember you're one of the ones in Australia, right? So it's evening for you. All right, and Jozolo goes down. Took them long enough. You should have just bought it. I thought about just buying it, but we'll see. The Gamefly allows you to keep your games. So if I really enjoy it, I know Emmy wanted to play it, I might just tell him, like, hey, I'm not shipping this back. So there's a chance that I just won't send it back and I'll continue to play it. But we'll give it a try first and see how it is. One of the new features that Blizzard added this expansion I absolutely love. So you can see my character. She's in her civilian clothing. It's very adorable. And when I leave town to go to this next area, you'll see the gear automatically changes when I step outside of rested areas. And I absolutely love that. I love that you can set your transmog standards for like when it's raining, when you're in the water, when you're in battlegrounds, wherever you're at, it'll automatically change with you. So now that I'm out here, you can see my gear has automatically changed to my battle gear. I absolutely love that. That is one of the best changes that they implemented with Midnight. I think it's probably one of the absolute favorite features we've ever gotten. Absolutely love it. The more customization, the more transmog, the better. I will always ask for more transmog, more changes to the ability to customize our character. I wish we could get more customization in like the effect of like spells. Like if I could change my spells to be like red, blue, yellow, change them whatever color I want them to be, I think that would be an absolutely amazing change. Also being able to customize like our spell colors, maybe even like the casting animations, things like that. Like there's so much they can do for customization in that realm. Like the monks in the game have like a bunch of different August Celestials that give them their power. So having different spells to represent like those August Celestial, I think would be a very, very cool thing they could add that would give a lot of customization with not a whole lot of work. Same thing like Death Knights. Death Knights have glowing blue eyes, but they also have red and green eyes we've seen. So having the ability to change that in game, I think would just be another wonderful, easy customization thing that people would absolutely love. That in theory shouldn't be a whole lot of work. I know anytime someone talks about programming games, they always get themselves in trouble saying, oh, that would be an easy fix, and it's really not. But changing the color of things really shouldn't be that hard unless they hard coded it into the game, and I don't think that's the case. Like the backpack down here, they've said before, this little backpack icon, that the backpack in the game is like hard coded into the code, and they have no way of changing or removing that it just is what it is, and that it will never change. So I understand there are certain things that have been hard coded into the game, but I feel like the eye color should not be hard coded in that way, you know? I also have the new Styx game coming. I don't know how I feel about the Styx game. I played the demo of it and I wasn't super impressed, so I don't feel like I'm going to be super impressed by the game itself, but I'm going to give it a try. I liked the old Styx. I didn't like the second one, but I did like the game over screen. A game with a good game over screen, I think, is completely underrated. The game taunting you for losing, I think, is a good feature more games should invest some time and resources into. So I really like that Styx had a lot of that. Ooh, hurry. Just barely made that one right under the wire. Speaking of the wire, I guess it's a show we need to watch. Emmy and I were talking about renting a month of HBO because there's that Chernobyl show that everyone says that Chernobyl is like one of the best TV series ever made. And then, of course, anytime you talk about the best TV series ever made, somebody will undoubtedly bring up Breaking Bad. We watched like the first couple of episodes of Breaking Bad and it didn't really like suck us in, but I think it's time we give it another try and like really try to like Breaking Bad. Like, it's one of the most top-rated TV shows of all time for a reason, right? It's got to be good. So it must have been us. Like maybe it's a slow start. Maybe you need to give it the first season or two before it gets good. But I feel like we should like Breaking Bad, and we just haven't given it a good enough chance yet. So Breaking Bad, Chernobyl. Unfortunately, we have to wait a while for the next Invincible season to come out. I'm so hyped for the next Invincible season, but that's still now like a year away. I don't understand all the people complaining about Invincible. Like, if you go onto the Invincible subreddit, there's so many people who are upset about the animation for Invincible, and I don't get it. Like, certainly the show has like some, like, they even poke fun at it, right? They do like the whole scenes where like the characters cover their mouths so they can cheap out on the animation. They make like a joke about it. So like they're aware that the animation isn't like the most beautiful animation to ever exist, but like I don't understand why everyone complains about it online and feels like it's like a PNG, or like if you've ever seen Way of the House Husband. Way of the House Husband has some terrible animation. I feel like, I know we've talked about this before, where everyone just kind of, everything has to either be the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. There's no just like, yeah, it's okay, or it's good enough for what it is. Everyone has to treat everything as like the most primo, this is prime, this is the best thing ever, or this is absolute garbage. I feel like we've lost the ability to just accept things for, it's okay. Like it's perfectly acceptable to just say it's okay. I just feel like people have lost that ability. Everything just has to be the greatest thing ever or the worst thing ever. There's no nuance in that conversation at all. And it's so frustrating. This is why creators don't go to fandoms anymore. Like the Helldivers 2 creators came out doing an AMA the other day, and they were talking about like their whole team morale goes down every time they launch a patch, because all they get is people screaming and crying and moaning and death threats and all that every time they do anything, and so they don't want to. And I was like, you know, maybe blaming us isn't the most professional move in the world, but like, I get it. I get why they don't want to do things and listen to all the people on Reddit scream and cry about it. They don't want to watch 1,000 videos being made about how stupid they are and how bad they are and how incompetent they are. Like, I understand why that's not something that they want to do. So I think the Helldivers community and all the fandoms themselves have kind of brought it upon themselves. It's the same thing with the My Hero Academia community. Like, we're getting a new My Hero Academia episode May 2nd. If you didn't know, on May 2nd, they're doing a release for the new My Hero Academia Next is what it's called. It's the final episode. And it solely exists because people screamed and cried so much to Hirokoshi that they didn't like his ending, that he had to literally rewrite the ending to get the fanboys to shut up. So, like, yeah, the show was over. The show was over, and so many people went online kicking and screaming and crying that they didn't like the ending, that he literally wrote another episode to make the fanboys shut up. That's how obnoxious the My Hero Academia fandom was, that they had to make a whole nother episode and a whole new ending for the crybabies. And like, I feel like that's why like we haven't seen George R.R. Martin finish what is it called? Song of Ice and Fire, because I'm convinced, people say that the reason he hasn't finished is because he actually gave the real ending to HBO, and when everyone hated the real ending for it on the TV show, he decided he's not going to finish the book because he doesn't know how to finish it now, because if he finishes it the way that he intended, he knows that everyone's going to hate it. So now we're just never going to get the written ending to it because of all the crybaby fanboys. The ending was perfectly, the ending to My Hero Academia was perfectly fine. The only people who were upset about the ending to My Hero Academia, one, didn't understand the show at all, that they were incapable of understanding the themes of the show, and also understanding that that's how life works, right? The main complaints of everyone was like, it's so sad that Deku's not the number one hero anymore, and he's just a loser teacher who doesn't see his friends anymore. Yeah, that's what happens when you're an adult. When you're an adult, you go to work and you focus on work and family. You don't get to go hang out with your friends every day after work. The sitcoms are lying to you. Most adults don't have a friend group of 15 people that they go and see every single day. That's called growing up. That's called life. So all the people saying that they didn't like that are all the children who don't understand that is your future. When you leave school, you're not going to hang out with people every single day. The ending's been out for like a year and a half now, Dex. Come on, you can't. We acknowledge you cannot spoil things that are that old, right? Like spoiler warnings exist for like maybe 2 weeks. After a week or two, that's on you. You've had plenty of time to go watch/read the ending to My Hero Academia. You've had plenty of time for that. That's not on me. That is on you. The other thing that they were upset about is that they didn't outright state that Deku gets the girl. And while I'm a sucker for a good love story, I appreciate a good romance movie. I appreciate a good corny cheesy relationship. I think that's also something that a lot of the otakus, dweebs, incels, nerds fandom needs to understand is you don't always get the girl, right? Just because you had a crush on someone when you were 15 does not mean that that you're going to end up marrying them, right? Like I think that is a good lesson for them to learn as soon as possible, that it's possible to have a crush on someone, it's possible to like someone, and for that to not go anywhere, for that to fizzle out, for that not to have to always end in a perfect wedding, right? Like that, I think that is a important lesson for people to see in media and learn and understand, that it will not always result in those things. See, we need to do one more quest. If I go up to the top, I'm going to be in danger of getting slaughtered and having to start over. So let's grab a more... Well, that's not an easy quest we can do. Let's go over there. Maybe there's an easy quest we can do over this way. All that to be said, I've almost finished Kaiju number 8 season 2, and I think I am officially going to put Kaiju number 8 above My Hero Academia. I love My Hero Academia, but Kaiju number 8 has been an incredible experience. And honestly, an even better experience, because again, there's no weird panty shots. There's no weird creepy characters perving out on people. It seems to be a fairly tame show with some great fight scenes. I've very much been enjoying Kaiju number 8. So if you haven't watched it yet, go watch Kaiju number 8. I highly recommend it. Highly, highly recommend it. Okay, I don't necessarily want to do those quests either. They nerfed cruelly. They nerfed the trap farm because people were saying that they were bored with how they were playing this game, so they were just farming traps. So rather than fixing the boredom and the problem with the game, they just nerfed the trap farming, which is classic Blizzard. Is when people say, "Hey, there's a problem with this," they say, "Oh man, we could fix the problem, or we could just make it worse." And I feel like that's what they did here. And in classic Blizzard fashion, they said, we could have fixed the problem, or we could just make it worse. So they've removed all the traps for the most part now. So rather than just farming traps, you actually have to fly around and engage in the world, in the boring stuff that's no longer relevant to your character. And I really feel like they need to go back to the drawing board on that one. I definitely feel like they messed up. All right, this should be not enough still? Come on. Come on, Blizzard. All right, let's go hunt for more prey. I don't even get anything for doing this anymore. I just want to max it out to fill up the bar to finish off the system. I don't know why I'm wasting my time with this. Drawing board costs money. Not if the allegations are true. A lot of people are alleging, and maybe it's unfounded. So maybe it's unfair. They're saying that Blizzard made the most recent patch with a ton of AI, and I could see it with a lot of the problems that have been in the game. So there's a good chance that it really didn't cost them very much. That they just AI'd it and kind of slapped it together. So there's no actual proof of that, but this patch has been so poorly received that I could definitely see that allegation being true, that they put it together with at least mostly AI. The vibe coding. I'll wait to see though, but it definitely hasn't been the best patch. They did add some fun content, don't get me wrong, but some of the bugs are really, really like they're head scratchers, right? Because it's like how they introduced a bug that accidentally made one of the pet abilities impact the player, and it's like that's never been a thing. So like why did that all of a sudden start happening now? It feels suspicious that those sort of bugs are cropping up for the first time in ever. So Ben's here. Good morning, Ben. What's going on today? What is new in the world of Ben? We were just talking about, by the way, if you don't know, My Hero Academia is getting a new episode on May 2nd. My Hero Academia Next is coming out. Also, I mentioned this before, for $70, which is not a bad price. If you live in the United States, for $70, you can buy a ticket to the My Hero Academia in concert. They're touring this year in September and October. They are going to be playing live in person a bunch of My Hero Academia music, and I cannot wait to go to that. I'm very, very hyped to go to the My Hero Academia, the concert. Gonna go with my bees later. They're close to needing to get robbed. I love bees. Beekeeping has to be fun, but also like scary. Like I couldn't imagine. I know that a lot of the bees, like they get to know their beekeeper, they like their beekeeper, that they respect you, but also like the idea of just randomly getting stung at any point in the day just seems like it would ruin your day, like it just feels like it would ruin your day. I'm not a big fan of anime music. There's a lot of bad anime music, don't get me wrong, but there's also some great anime music, and I feel like My Hero Academia has some great anime music. Let's see. My Hero Academia, great anime music. Neon Genesis Evangelion, one of the best intros of all time. Of course, Cowboy Bebop has some great music with like their fusion of bebop, western kind of music. Full Metal Alchemist. I think Full Metal Alchemist has some great intros as well. I will say, as cringe as it is, Inuyasha, while I don't necessarily like all of the Inuyasha music, that outro music to Inuyasha late at night watching it on Toonami is like burned into my head. I watched so much Inuyasha as a kid. I won't say it's a great song, but the outro music to Inuyasha has been burned into my mind forevermore. But My Hero Academia, Yusei Run, legendary. The Carousel intro song is so good. Naruto has We Are Fighting. I love that. That is a good intro. The only time I get stung is if I get my smoker, accidentally put pressure on one, or smush one when they get smushed. Aw. Don't smush the bees. Speaking of bees, I got a great photo of a bumblebee yesterday. I got a pretty good shot of a fat bumblebee that was pulling some pollen off of lavender. I love taking pictures of bees. Sometimes it's hard not to. I get it when they're swarming around. It's tough not to. So since you are a beekeeper, weigh in on the conversation. Do you believe that honey should be considered vegan? Dex, what happened to the bees? Did they fight it out? Because there's a very interesting conversation in the vegan community about whether or not honey should be considered vegan. Because yes, it is an animal-made product, but it also, like, it doesn't hurt the bees to harvest the honey. And in fact, bees in captivity have been reported on making extra honey because they know the deal. Anish, good morning. Welcome in, Anish. They know that the beekeeper will come and take honey, so they make extra honey, so they're not going to starve, and they know that's kind of the deal. They're basically like little capitalists selling their honey, right? So, like, it doesn't hurt the bees. They understand the system. So is it vegan to eat honey? Dex, were you in bed early? Because, like, I feel like early for you is midnight. Going to bed early, like, for me, means going to bed at 7 p.m. Like, the other night when I was in bed, the sun was still out. Like, it was still sunny and warm outside. What's new with you, Anish? What's new this morning? Afternoon. I think actually you're in the evening, right? You're in evening time right now. I don't know enough about vegan stuff. There's a difference between vegan and vegetarian, right? My knowledge of vegans is from Scott Pilgrim, where they don't eat anything with a face. Veganism is, it's eating anything, no animal byproducts. So, like, milk, you can't have butter, you can't have cheese. Anything that's an animal product, like a lot of candy uses, like, different flavorings that are animal products. So vegan is very, very much a higher standard than vegetarian. But the reason why there's a conversation around, like I said, is because bees aren't harmed by making honey, so it's a whole different thing. You haven't seen any bees go in or out, so I'm going to cap it off later today. I would totally be a beekeeper if I wasn't so scared of getting stung. One of these days, I want to put the money into having my cosplay. I'd like to have one of those medieval beekeeper outfits made for me. I'd really, really enjoy that. So one of these days, I'm going to have a medieval beekeeper costume put together. I will stream as a beekeeper. I think that's very, very fitting of my theme. I understand why vegans, like, why you wouldn't want to eat cheese or butter or things like that. Like, that is 100%. We know most cows are not in the best environments. We know there's a lot of really bad farms out there. We know there's a lot of bad dairy farms. We know there's a lot of things like that. And I understand why vegans say, like, just because it tastes good doesn't make it a good enough reason to enjoy the product, right? Like, saying, well, I couldn't give up meat because I like the taste of it is too much as saying that I acknowledge that there's a problem. I acknowledge that there's animal suffering, but I'm selfish enough that I don't want to give up my comfort and taste for the well-being of animals. And I understand why they don't accept that as a reason, right? I'm the same way. Like, yeah, I enjoyed the taste of meat, but I became vegetarian because I don't want to support the horrible industry, because as a Catholic, we are called to be good caretakers of our animals, and I truly don't think that the animals are being taken care of in a appropriate manner. But I also understand where, like, being a vegan is also a highly costful, privileged position to be in for a lot of people, and not everyone always has that ability. If you consider bees animals, because by that vegan logic, if you're vegan, you have silk clothing and sheets, you're just loopholing it. There are a lot of vegans who also don't believe in using, like, you can't use leather, you can't use any animal bride products. You're right, silk would fall into that vegan category as well. They started a hive in my doorbell. You know, that is one way to keep the Jehovah's Witnesses and solicitors away, right? Like, if every time you ring the doorbell, a swarm of bees comes and attacks you. I'm not saying you should do that. But I'm also saying, like, we get the solar panel people, right? The solar panel people who always come out like, hey, would you like to pay $30,000 for solar panels on your roof? And I despise our solar panel salesmen in our area so much because they just straight up lie to you. And like, oh, we got this new program where you don't need to pay for your solar panels, and all you have to do is sign this contract, and we'll give you the solar panels for free, and then you just pay a little bit more for power through us. And I always hit them with, okay, well, I am going to be selling my house soon. So when I sell the house, what happens to that contract? And they're always like, well, nothing. Like, you sell your house. Like, okay, but the next person would have to agree to that contract, right? And then, well, I don't know. I was like, yeah, they would. So do you think it would be harder to sell my house if they have to sign onto a contract for the rest of their life? Well, probably not. Yeah, that would probably make it harder to sell my house, wouldn't it? And it's so frustrating. Like, no, that's not the case at all. But they don't know the contract. They don't know the fine print. They're just straight up lying about what they do or don't know, and it's really frustrating. So I just tell them, I'm not interested, thank you, and then they'll hit you with that really annoying, like, oh, well, let's just talk. I just want to talk. No, I said no, thank you. I'm closing the door. And Emmy says it's mean, but I'm at a point where it's just like, I've said no, thank you. I'm closing the door. I'm going to close the door right in your face. Is it the most Christian thing in the world? That's what she already, like, it's rude to just close the door in their face. Like, yeah, it's a little rude to close the door in their face, but I said, no, thank you, I'm not interested, and they're continuing to take up my time, right? So, like, is it actually rude if I've told them no, thank you, and I've ended the conversation, and they continue to try and force the conversation to shut the door in their face? I really don't feel like it's that rude. I've told them I'm not interested. I've said no, thank you. So, like, I feel like I am completely okay to do that. Don't even answer the door. The only reason I answered the door last time was because I'm waiting for my birth certificate to come for my passport, and I thought it was a UPS delivery, like a courier. So I answered the door, and the guy just started hitting me with sales, and I said, no, I'm not interested. He's like, well, I want to talk to you about it. No, I'm not interested. Well, what about this? I'm like, no, thank you. And then I'm shutting the door. So ask if they heard about your Lord and Savior Cthulhu. Well, I can't do that because that would be falling into the realm of blasphemy. So I can't call Cthulhu a Lord and Savior. I could preach to them about religion, but also, like, if I'm going to talk about religion, I want to bring them in sincerely and legitimately. So I would only bring up Jesus if I thought I would actually be helping them and bringing them in, because otherwise then it's just annoying and pushing them away, and that would be furthering them away from the goal, right? So probably the best way is not to answer the door. But also, we've had people who don't give up, whether they're legitimate, like, oh, well, I see your car in the driveway, so I'm just going to sit here and ding the doorbell until you answer the door. So there's no winning. The thing I appreciate is we've had AT&T. AT&T would come through and be like, hey, can we talk to you about cell phone service? And I always start that conversation with, currently I have Google cell phone, and the Google cell phone costs me $30 a month. So I will legitimately hear you out if you can promise that you can beat my $30 a month cell phone bill. And 90% of the time they immediately go, oh yeah, we can't beat $30 a month. Have a good day. That I appreciate. I appreciate a salesman who says, yep, we simply cannot beat your cost, so we're not even going to talk, because I know I know that we can't beat it. That's a religious, or that's a salesman that I can respect, is when they just say, we can't beat it, have a nice day, bye. That's all the conversation needs to be. Religious people at my door the other day, it was creepy. I'm guessing most of the door-to-door people are either Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses, and in my opinion, both of those are cults. So that I wouldn't entertain either of those. The Mormon, from what I've heard, is even more nefarious. Now this is hearsay, so don't take it as the gospel truth. But my understanding is a big reason why the Mormons have their kids go out into the world to preach religion door to door is they don't actually want to bring people into the religion. Rather, they know that when you're on those missions, when you're going door to door, you're going to get the door shut in your face, you're going to get called names, you're going to get treated horribly, and that's a part of the process for keeping you in the church, is that you go out on these missions, you have a terrible time, people treat you horribly, you have all these bad experiences, and then say, look, do you see how much the world hates you? And that's how they keep you into the church, is understanding, like, look, if you try and leave the church, look at how awful the world, look how rude these people are, look how poorly they treat you, so you can't leave the church, because that's what's going to happen to you when you leave. So that's my understanding of why those missions take place as they do. I wonder how they talk women into doing Mormon stuff, because multiple wives sounds like a lot I can barely handle. I think most mainstream sects of Mormonism have gotten away from the multiple wives thing, so I don't think that's as prevalent anymore. So I don't think that is going to be a issue for most of them. Here's the thing, though, like, we know that the vast majority of Mormons, at least that we see, don't even follow their own faith, right? And this isn't a criticism of Mormonism. 50 to 70% of Catholics don't do Catholicism right. Like, the vast majority of Catholics don't follow Catholicism correctly, don't do it correctly, and don't understand the faith correctly. So that's a problem with all religion in general. But the majority of Mormons I've ever seen and know also drink coffee and have a bunch of caffeine that they're not supposed to have. So, that's also a problem. And my understanding was also that caffeine was forbidden until Mormonism got heavily invested in Coca-Cola, and then that's where like the dirty sodas became really popular. Is now that we can make money off of this, we'll go ahead and say that it is okay. What's the deal with coffee? The Mormon faith, again, I'm not an expert in Mormonism, so this is mostly just things I've learned and picked up here and there. My understanding is that the Mormon faith tells you that stimulants are bad for your body, any sort of drugs that alter your body. So that that includes things like caffeine. So obviously coffee has caffeine in it, so you're not supposed to have caffeine tea or soda or anything like that. And that is why you don't do that, because your body is supposed to be this sacred temple, and altering it with substances like that are supposed to harm your path to heaven. But again, my understanding is that once they got invested into Coca-Cola, they changed the teaching around that and said, well, it's just coffee that's bad. Coca-Cola is okay for you because we can make money off of that. Most religious people aren't really religious. They just want to act like they're going to heaven. Have you seen The Expanse TV show where the Mormons build an interstellar ship and they're going to be the first people to inhabit? I have not seen The Expanse. I would guesstimate. I would guesstimate, just based off the numbers for Christianity alone, I would feel comfortable in saying 70% of Christians aren't really Christian. They're kind of Christian that are Christian in name only, or only in name, also known as coins. That they say they're Christian because they want the perks of Christianity, but they don't actually believe in any of the Christian stuff. I would say 70% is probably a realistic number. And then if you only had Christian, like if in order to be called a Christian, you actually followed, say, like the Catholic teachings and all that, If you could only be called a Christian if you followed, like, if you actually went to church every single week like you're supposed to, if you actually went to confession like you're supposed to, if you actually confessed all your sins as you were supposed to, if you actually only received the Eucharist when you were supposed to, if you followed all the rules, I would say that there's probably less than 10% of Catholics as a whole follow the rules in a meaningful, attempted way. What is a Eucharist? The Eucharist is, so at the end of Catholic Mass, the Eucharist is sometimes called communion. That is when the priest consecrates the wafer, the cracker you've seen. That is when he consecrates it, and it goes through a process called transubstantiation, where it turns from the accidents of bread and becomes the body, blood, soul, and divinity of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So only present in the Catholic and Orthodox Mass, and a few other exceptions, a ordained priest who has the right and ability to turn that bread into the body, soul, divinity of Jesus Christ. Now, a lot of Protestant churches will say that they have communion, but the Protestant church communion is literally just crackers and grape juice. It's nothing. They do not have the Eucharist. They have crackers and grape juice. Theirs is completely meaningless. Mostly because most Protestant churches will say that, well, when Jesus taught the Last Supper and said, "Take this is my body," that was a symbol, that was not a literal thing. No, Catholics believe that is fully literal. When Jesus said, "Take this is my body," "Take this is my blood," that he was speaking literally. And that is why at the Mass we consecrate the host and turn it into the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ, which is the pinnacle of the whole religion. That is the whole point of the entire faith, the entire religion, is that. It's snack time at church, Ben. Long story. For Protestants, yes. For Catholics, no. For Catholics, the Eucharist is the summation of the entire faith. It is the entire summation of the theology. It is, and it's not to be taken lightly. That's why Catholic churches have what's called closed communion. We don't let just any random person come off the street and take communion. You are only allowed to take the Eucharist if you are a Catholic in good standing and you are following all the rules and you've been to confession, because it is no small thing. When you take communion, the reason it's called communion is because you're saying, I am professing in front of the entire church and everyone else that I am in communion with the faith, that I fully am saying, yes, this is the body and blood of Jesus Christ, that I believe in everything the Catholic Church confesses. And you simply can't make that commitment unless you are a confirmed Catholic. You've gone through all the steps, because just a random Joe Schmo off the street is not capable of fully understanding the depth of the summation of the faith in the Eucharist. So we don't allow them to take it, because it wouldn't be good for them, because they can't say that I'm in communion with the church, because they don't understand what they're saying. It's the same reason why OCIA is so important. The reason why you have to go through classes for 1 to 3 years before you're allowed to be Catholic is because we want to be sure you know what you are committing to, because Catholicism is a lifelong commitment. It's not to be taken lightly. It's not something you just agree to and you're, oh, yep, now I'm Catholic because I said I want to convert. You have to actually learn. You have to go through the process. You have to understand what it means, because you're making a commitment for the rest of your life that you are going to live Catholic, that you're going to raise your children as Catholic, that you will be at church every single week for the rest of your life, that you will profess the faith, that you will raise your children as Catholic. It is the largest commitment any person can literally make. So we don't allow people to take it lightly, because it is not a light thing. It is a serious lifelong commitment that has mortal consequences, right? If you commit to it and then you fall off the bandwagon, you are potentially damning your soul to hell. So we don't allow people to take it lightly, because it cannot be taken lightly. I drive people around like a private Uber, and someone told me I should get some cards and call my business Ben Around. I like that. I like that. I think that's a good idea. The more puns a business has, the better that business most likely is going to be. The only exception I'm going to say to that is food carts. Like, if I see a food cart that's called Pimpin' Shrimpin' or something like that, I'm probably going to avoid that place. Like, people are making all sorts of jokes about like the millennial restaurants that are like, oh, here you're gonna have a real authentic taco experience. It'll be $35 for 3 tacos. Or here's a smash burger made by Jeff, and that burger is gonna cost you $20. By the way, fries are extra. Like, I understand the millennial burger joint problem, but food carts are out of control right now. Sunglasses incoming. I don't think I'll put them on. I don't think this is an unpopular opinion, but food carts, if you go to a food cart, it should never cost you more than $10. Food carts are meant to be a fast, greasy, terrible experience that puts food in your mouth and nothing else. We do not need food carts where you're paying $50 to eat at a food cart. That should not exist. That should not be. We do not need $50 food cart experiences. $10 at a food cart won't even get you a drink in New York. Which, while we're on this topic, I'm going to rant a little bit about Taco Bell. I love Taco Bell because I am a vegetarian, because I'm better than you. But Taco Bell does a very, very good experience for vegetarians. The fact that you can literally take anything off of their menu and turn it vegetarian is such a good experience for vegetarian eating. You have a good variety. You have a lot of things you can enjoy. I love vegetarian Taco Bell. I am so tired of everyone coming on and ripping on Taco Bell and talking about how expensive Taco Bell is. Taco Bell is not expensive. You can get 1,000 calories for $3. You could literally eat your entire caloric intake at Taco Bell for $4. Tell me anywhere else you can get your daily recommended 2,000 calories for $4. Like, yes, it's expensive if you're ordering the most expensive things off of the menu, but like, you don't go to Taco Bell to order a $20 chalupa. You go to Taco Bell to go to the value menu and get a bean and cheese rice burrito for $1 that's 420 calories that satiates you until you can go and get a real meal, right? Like, I feel like if you feel that Taco Bell is expensive, that you're doing Taco Bell wrong. I feel like the only people complaining about expensive Taco Bell are the people who don't eat Taco Bell correctly. All right, since we're talking about fast food, here's my waffles is a Karen experience. Tell me if I'm a jerk in this scenario for feeling this way. I went to Burger King the other day because I wanted mozzarella sticks, and Burger King does an Impossible Whopper, so I could have a vegetarian experience. Okay. So this was my experience at Burger King. I went to Burger King and I ordered an Impossible Whopper with a medium Diet Coke and a mozzarella sticks. That is 3 items. Impossible Whopper, Diet Coke, mozzarella sticks. Can you remember that? It should be easy. This person running the drive-thru, first they say, okay, you want a Whopper, a Coke, and a chicken nugget. No, not even close. I want an Impossible Whopper, I want mozzarella sticks, and I want a Diet Coke. Okay, you want a Whopper, mozzarella sticks, and a Diet Coke. No, I want an Impossible Whopper, mozzarella sticks, and Diet Coke. We finally get that sorted. I get to the window, they hand me my drink. I do this at every fast food restaurant because I don't trust these people 1 inch. Is this diet? Oh, you want a diet? Yes. Do you want me to remake it? Yes. Hand it back to them. Then they bring me my order. They get the mozzarella sticks wrong, and I'm pretty sure they got the mozzarella or the Impossible Whopper wrong. So we're talking in one drive-through order. I was the only person at the restaurant. One order, one person. They made 7 mistakes and they forgot the napkins. They made 7 mistakes in one order. And I'm debating whether I should go complain to corporate about that because, like, I get this whole, like, oh, minimum wage, minimum effort sort of thing, but, like, I don't want to rag on fast food employees. I know it's a hard job. I understand it's a difficult job, but making 7 mistakes on one order, dude, like, how incompetent do you have to be to mess up 3 items in an order that badly when you're only serving one person? Like, am I in the wrong for thinking you, like, I understand you want a more wage, and I understand everyone deserves a living wage, but if you can't even handle a simple order at the drive-thru, I don't really think that you deserve a skilled labor wage. I just think you deserve definitely to have a living wage. I don't want to seem rude about it, but, like, my dude, you're awful at your job. You're so incompetent, you can't handle the difference between chicken nuggets and mozzarella sticks. Like, you probably don't deserve to be in the industry. Like, and again, I know that sounds like a rude thing to say, but, like, if you can't handle that, then, like, what job exists for you? Like, if you can't handle taking an order through the drive-thru, I don't know what job you could realistically work. Like, that's as low a responsibility you can get. And if you can't handle that, then I don't know what you can do. It was such a frustrating experience. And again, I'm sure that it was a person who was just doing, oh, well, you know, it's minimum wage, so minimum effort, so I'm not going to put any effort in. Or, you know, chances are probably on drugs. I know there's a lot of people who do, like, the whole, I'm going to go to work high because I don't care. That is one of those things I will never. I understand marijuana is legal in my state. I have no problem with people using it recreationally on their own time. But if you show up at work high, you absolutely deserve to be fired. 100%. No one should have to put up with dealing with an employee who's high, because I know every single one of those people always do, like, the dude, I'm so baked, but no one can tell. Every single person can tell that you are baked out of your mind right now because it took you 7 tries to get my order correct through the drive-thru. Every single person knows you are high. There's never been an experience where someone has said, no one can tell I'm high, and I've been like, yeah, you're right, I can't tell. Like, no, we can tell, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating because you smell awful, you're incredibly difficult to deal with, and it's just a frustrating experience for everyone around there. So, no. Instantly fired. I can tell you with full confidence, you complain to corporate, they would send you a credit, and the restaurant worker will never hear about it. I'm pretty sure that fast food places are pretty notorious for firing people very quickly for customer complaints. Maybe I'm wrong in that, but I'm fairly certain that's a job you actually get fired for customer complaints pretty easy. Minimum wage, minimum effort is a bunch of young, poor people willingly keeping themselves poor so they always have someone to complain about and call it institutional. So here's the thing. I think with the minimum wage, minimum effort is that it's a misunderstood movement. I agree with the minimum wage, minimum effort in the way that, like, for example, when I worked at Roth's, I got minimum wage. I got paid $6.75 an hour, or maybe it was $7.25 an hour. It was a minimum wage job. My job was to carry groceries out to people's car, to stock shelves, and to clean up the bottle return area. I had very clear job outline duties. But there were times where they would ask me to lift a 250-pound glass container above my head dangerously and destroy my body for efficiency's sake so they wouldn't have to have someone else come help me lift the thing. There was times they would ask me to stand on a bunch of bottles dangerously and risk breaking my back and neck for the sake of the business. Minimum wage, minimum effort means you would say, no, that is not my job description. Give me another person to do this job and task safely and efficiently. That's what minimum wage, minimum effort should be. Minimum wage, minimum effort should also be like if you're being asked to go above and beyond, we're like, hey, this isn't your job duty, but you should do this. Saying, no, that's not my job description. I'm not going to do that. That is what minimum wage, minimum effort should be. There are people who wrongly interpret that as, well, you pay me a minimum wage, so I'm not going to do my job at all. Those are the people who are wrongly interpreting it. So I believe that is a misinterpreted movement by a lot of people. But I don't think in itself is a bad thing. If an employee is openly rude to a customer, they might get reprimanded or fired. If they made a mistake on an order, it's just a slap on the wrist at best. Here's the thing, though, and maybe this is me being a Karen. Maybe this is a Karen thing. I think making that many mistakes on my order is rude. I think it's a disrespect of my time to be that incompetent at your job. I take that as being rude because you're wasting my time with something that is not that complicated. So again, maybe that makes me a Karen, but I think being incompetent at your job to that degree is rude. I think it's a disservice to your fellow humans to waste their time in that manner by being incompetent at your job. Because when we go to customer service, we expect a certain level of competency, right? Like, you expect when you go through the drive-thru, this is going to be a pleasant and quick and nice experience. And when it's not that, because you are incompetent at your job, that is rude. And this is coming from someone who worked a lot of customer service. I did call center work. I know a thing or two about wasting time and rudeness and all those things. And I truly think that being bad at your job should be considered bad customer service. It should be considered rude. It's unprofessional. Get better at your job. You're literally paid to be good at your job. Like, if you stuck me in a fast food restaurant, I would not be good at that job. I would try, but I understand that being fast and good at fast food is a skill. I 100% could not work a fryer. I 100% could not be on the McDonald's burger line making Big Macs all day. I do not have the skills that it takes to do that job. Could I develop them? Maybe. But I understand that does take skill to do those things. Working a window is a lot of multitasking depending on the restaurant. I would buy that excuse if I wasn't the only person in the restaurant. Like I said, I was the only person in the restaurant at that time. So multitasking, probably not a factor. That's not rude. That's a mistake. It depends. It depends. I definitely know that all humans make mistakes. So you are right. A mistake is not rude, but at a certain point, it's intentional, right? Like, at a certain point, if you continually make mistakes, it's either intentional or maybe it's not intentional, but you don't belong in that job and you shouldn't be there any longer, right? Like, at a certain point, we have to admit to ourselves and say, I do not have the talent, the skill, the knowledge, the know-how to succeed at this job, so I should not be here any longer because I am incompetent at it. I think that more people need to be willing to admit that to themselves. Oh, it's the same thing with like scanners. People who scan at Safeway, at Walmart, whatever it may be. You can tell the difference between when you have a skilled checkout person who knows the job and does it well, and a person who doesn't care, right? Like, there's a massive difference between someone who takes 10 minutes to check out 100 groceries and someone who takes 1 minute to check out 100 groceries, right? And at a certain point, it's either you're choosing not to get better at the job, or you simply don't have the ability to do the job, so you shouldn't do the job, right? Like, I think we can all admit to ourselves when we're out of our depth at a job. And everyone deserves to have employment. Everyone deserves a living wage. Everyone deserves a certain quality of life. But I also think that there are definitely factors that people are not taking into consideration with these things. I have across all the jobs I've ever worked, I've ran into a great deal of people who are simply not capable of doing the jobs that are in. And that's not through fault of their own necessarily, but also at a certain point, like, you're actively harming the business and the customers by continuing to do a job that you know you can't do. When I worked at Wells Fargo and I was a lead for a team, I had to call in to my own team and ask them to do something for me. And I cannot tell you the frustration I experienced when I called in and I said, look, I am a manager at this job. I know the rules better than you. So when I'm telling you to do X, Y, and Z, I want you to do it X, Y, and Z because that's the way it is outlined in your handbook. I can't do that. Okay, take a break, put me on hold, go and read your resources, and you'll see I'm telling you exactly what to do and the right way to do it. I can't do that. And I begged them, put me on hold, go talk to your boss and ask them because you are wrong. I can't do that. Okay. Thank you for your time. Then they messed up my account. And then I went and, maybe I'm a Karen, but I went and complained and I said, hey, we need to put in a complaint about this person because I had this terrible experience with customer service and I told them what to do. I showed them in their resources where to look and they refused to use their resources and they actively harmed me as a customer with their incompetence. And that person needs to be reprimanded and they need to learn how to do their job. Did that person hate me? Probably, but I tell you what, they probably never made that mistake again. Because if they would have just shut up for a second and listened to me, they would have had a much better knowledge of their job. It's such a frustrating thing. And again, I understand everyone has bad days. Every human makes a mistake. We can't expect perfection. But I do expect to some degree a level of competence when I'm dealing with a professional, whether it be a checkout scanner, whether it be a drive-through order taker. And I get why, like, Wendy's has been accused of trying to replace the AI, the order takers with AI. And I absolutely understand why. Because very rarely have I ever gone through a drive-through and had a good experience with an employee trying to fumble through that. And if you make a computer do it and it's accurate 100% of the time, why wouldn't you do that? And I don't want AI to replace jobs, but again, I've never gone through a drive-through for a fast food restaurant and said, wow, that person really elevated my experience. I'm so glad that I talked to a living, breathing human being. Because if the restaurant gives me an option to, 100% of the time, I'm going to order online through the app. That way I don't have to talk to anyone, because the chances of them messing it up are way less if I order it online and you eliminate the human error from it. I don't want everyone to be replaced by AI, but I understand why they're replacing them with AI. I don't think they're ever going to replace the checkout workers with AI. I think people have proven that replacing the checkout workers just leads to a huge amount of theft. So I don't think we're ever going to see that fully happen, just because the amount of theft has been overwhelming. The amount of people who steal definitely, it amazes me how much you see people stealing on TikTok, just brazenly stealing and okay with theft. Like, it's incredible to me how many people are just casually okay with theft. It is definitely a brave new world of theft. Come on. Aim. Why can I not hit this thing? There we go. Holy cow. Speaking of incompetence, I can't aim to save my life. We still need to catch like 5,000 fish. So we're going to be doing this quite a lot, unfortunately. I think I've unlocked everything else, but I think there's still about 2,000 or 3,000 fish for me to catch. In fact, if we untrack that, I thought I had... Yeah, we need to catch 170 more fish. That is a lot of fish to catch. Oh, someone's catching the big fish, though. Maybe I can... Can we catch this guy? Does he count as multiple fish? Oh, no, no one's catching him. Never mind, no one's catching him. He's mad. Big mad. Also, just catching these. To be fair, if you ain't robbing them, they're robbing you. I don't know about that. I mean, corporations are evil. I don't want to seem like I'm standing corporations. There's definitely a lot of evil corporations out there. And I definitely don't disagree that they do a lot of unethical and terrible things, and that they're just evil through and through. I definitely don't disagree with that. But at the same time, stealing from them doesn't make it right? It doesn't fix the problem. So this whole idea of, well, they're robbing me, they're taking advantage of me, so I'm going to just take advantage of them. That doesn't... The two wrongs don't make a right? Like, just because they're doing that doesn't mean that we should do it too. We're called to rise above it, right? Alright, I have enough stuff. Let's unlock everything. I have unlocked the green diving suit and the little fishmon. Next, we need to unlock the capybara. We need to unlock Kebub. Kebub the capybara. Which will happen when we unlock all these fish. So we're just going to play shooting gallery for a while. Like, and I used to think that way. I'll fully admit, I was in the wrong for this. But like when I worked for one company, they treated me so poorly that there were days where like, hey, they don't pay me enough. They treat me terribly. So, you know what? I'm going to get this extra cookie or this extra donut and not pay for it because they owe me those things. And I'm fully embarrassed that I did those things. So I understand the logic. I understand the line of thinking. That's why I speak out against it. Not because I'm condemning people for doing it, but because I was there. I did that wrong too. And I can tell you it was wrong, and that you can't justify stealing from these companies just because they do wrong. That's the whole argument with like emulation, right? People are like, well, Nintendo won't sell me this Pokemon game, so I have to steal it. Like, no. The right answer is they won't sell you this game, so you just don't get to play the game. The right answer isn't, well, I'll steal it because I can't get it in the way that I want. That's not the right way to handle it. All right. Grab these. 150 more fish to go. 149 more fish to go. There's a lot of fish. A lot of fish really slowly. Especially because so many of these fish have so much armor. If they didn't take multiple shots, we could probably finish this in 1 or 2 more dives. The fact that some of these guys take like 6 shots just to take down. It is slow. All this for fake internet points. All the fake internet points. Which I've seen, there's a couple of people who have been showing off that they beat World of Warcraft, like they have every single achievement, they've done every single thing in WoW, they've literally done every single thing you can possibly do in WoW. I've thought about doing that as a challenge run, but I couldn't imagine like the amount of stuff you'd have to dedicate, the amount of your life you'd have to dedicate to achieving every single achievement in WoW feels like a borderline waste of your life. Like that is a huge amount of time commitment to do every single thing. Because like if you open up the achievements in WoW and look at how many achievements there are, just like the questing alone, how many different things you would have to do to unlock every single one of these things. There's just so much. And that's just one segment of the entirety of the game. You've got all the exploration stuff you've got to do, housing achievements you've got to do, collecting mounts, professions. Like there's so much. But in their defense, if you've been playing since the game came out, you probably have a lot of those achievements anyways, so it's probably not as bad. But like if you start a fresh account, completely fresh, and try and do everything, that is a lot. We got 5 more minutes. And then I gotta work. Today I'm not looking forward to. I've got a short week this week, but again, because I'm getting my teeth removed, so short week, yay, but also teeth removal, not so yay. I feel like the spear gun is incredibly hard to aim sometimes. I feel like I miss more shots than I actually hit sometimes. Here we go. And you. We need 115 more fish. Come on. 112. 11. 10. 9. Come on. We're almost out of breath. 8. 7. We can do it. 6. No, we gotta get out of here. Surfacing. All right. Another day of WoW chores completed. I'm going to go get ready for work, so let's end with our prayer as always.